Great. And can you tell us a little bit about Talented 10?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All good.
Don't feel quite as bad because Kara already didn't follow instructions. So, yeah, so a little bit about Talented 10. So we are a nonprofit organization here, and we pretty much cater to African-American young professionals. So our three kind of pillars or core values, if you will, surround service, access, and elevation. And so we put on a lot of networking events to make sure that we're getting our Black young professionals in the same spaces and in the different rooms with our larger network, just so that they can become a little bit more connected in Columbia.
Great, thank you. And next we'll pass to Katie with the Contemporaries.
Hello, I'm Katie Bayer. I am the current board chair of the Contemporaries. I also serve on the YLS Young Leader Society Committee, so I added that as on my name as well. During the day, I am a credit team leader for BB&T, now Truist, so I manage our commercial banking underwriters throughout the state. And a little bit about the Contemporaries. So obviously we're here talking about young professional organizations. We are for the young and young at heart, a group that is a branch of the Art Museum. So our mission is to support the museum through expanding membership. We try to put on culturally diverse, educational, and events throughout the year, along with some fundraising activities, so that we are able to purchase permanent art pieces for the museum.
Awesome. Okay, and next we'll introduce my similar name, Kay, with United Way.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kay Dugay, and I am here to represent the Young Leader Society with United Way of the Midlands. I kind of have a little bit different position than everybody else. I actually work at United Way, so this is my full-time job, 8:30 to 5 every day. I love it. So the Young Leader Society, our mission pretty much aligns with that of United Way, and we do different events and volunteer opportunities to kind of help promote and make aware, that everybody has an equal opportunity and access to health, education, economic mobility. We do some, pre-COVID, we did some engagement activities, more social events. We are trying to do them virtually, but then we also have some different professional development and, like I said earlier, volunteer opportunities as well. So,
great. And Patrick, will you tell us about Palladium, which is affiliated with Historic Columbia?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kay. And it's good to see a lot of people I actually know on this call. So it's a reminder of how, while Columbia is a big city, it's also a small city in many ways. So it's good to see a lot of familiar faces. My name is Patrick Cleary. I am a lawyer with Bowman and Brook here in Columbia. I do civil litigation defense work. But one of my passions is being I'm this year's president of Palladium at Historic Columbia. Most of y'all know Historic Columbia if you've driven, particularly in the Robert Mills district, the historical houses that Historic Columbia manages and gives tours of in the community. But Historic Columbia does a lot more, does education in Midland schools. It's restoring particularly important African-American historical sites in the community, and is partnering with different groups around the community to tell a more complete story of our area's history. The City of Women Initiative, the Jewish Heritage Initiative. We are starting work on an LGBTQ initiative, work with the 63 Project. What we do at Palladium is we are the young professionals group who get folks involved in all the things Historic Columbia does. And we serve as a fundraiser for the organization so that they can do the things they identify and want to do, but may not have the funds for. So thank you again, Kay.
Awesome. And last, but certainly not least, Hillary, who's here representing Leadership Columbia.
Hi, yes, my name's Hillary Bell. Just like Kay, United Way, I also work for the Columbia Chamber. So this is my full-time job as well. Shout out to Patrick and Shayla. They both serve on our advisory board for Leadership Columbia. And without them, I would not be able to do what I do at all. So they make us look really good. Leadership Columbia is unique in that we're a one-time leadership development program with a 10-month curriculum. So we're not necessarily a group that you can join and participate. You actually have to apply and go through the program. Our phenomenal advisory board works tirelessly to provide Leadership Columbia participants with educational hands-on experiences and with a strong emphasis on social and community awareness. And so each month we meet and we deep dive into various topics that affect Columbia and what's going on here. The class also gets to have exclusive behind the scenes conversations with community decision makers, and they partner with a local nonprofit to complete a class project as well. Once you graduate from Leadership Columbia, then you have the opportunity to join our alumni association. And that is kind of fits along with some of these other young professional groups, whereas we do networking events and social events and further enhance our leadership skills that were introduced in the class.
Great. And I said last but not least on the last one, mistakenly, I didn't forget, but I sort of forgot about CORE, which is one of my favorite groups. And so we have Chase Heatherly here to talk about CORE. And then Ashley, Katie may chime in on some of the stuff that she does too.
Thanks, Kay. Appreciate it. Hey guys, my name is Chase Heatherly. I'm the board chair for CORE this year, Columbia Opportunity Resource. In my day job, my 9 to 5 is that I serve as the publisher of the Free Times, which is Columbia's weekly newspaper. So I do that in my day job, and CORE is kind of my second full-time job. So we just have fun all around. CORE is very much your organization to build your professional network in Columbia. If you are looking to meet people of a diverse range of age, backgrounds, professions, CORE is a place for you to come and just casually meet other folks while you're professional, but not necessarily exclusive to that. CORE really is all about building local champions. We really want you to get to know Columbia as a place to live and a place to do business and fall in love with it. So we're all about developing local champions, really boosting talent retention so that you want to stay here in Columbia, making this your home and a place to work, which really, as we all know, helps really increase our competitiveness as a region, competing against Charlotte and Raleigh and some of these other places. So we really want to introduce you to Columbia, connect you with other people and the places and things to do here in Columbia so that you really are, you find being here, working here a very valuable experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Chase. So next up, we want to talk about if someone is not familiar with your organization and they want to get involved, how would they go about doing that? And what's your best recommendation of what to do first? And we'll start with Katie and the Contemporaries.
Yes. So we, in non-COVID times, typically put on 2 membership events throughout the year, a spring event and a fall event. And so obviously, if you're interested in learning about the Contemporaries and seeing what the group is like and what we do, then we would suggest y'all coming out to one of our events. We have not had anything this year due to COVID. And I think a lot of us have had some virtual, just not wanting to do virtual stuff all the time, but we are looking to do one virtual event later this year, and then hopefully an in-person event in early spring. I think people are ready to get out and do stuff. So I would highly encourage y'all to do that. And then definitely hit the museum, go take a look around the galleries. They are open, see if it's a place that you like to go and visit and appreciate the art, because everything we do is for them. And if you walk into just the main plaza area or into the museum, you'll see 3 of the pieces that we have purchased. And so you don't even really have to go into the galleries to see the direct impact that we're making. So if those are things that interest you and you like coming out to events and seeing people and just having a good time in Columbia, then I would suggest that y'all come and check us out.
Great, thank you. And Patrick, what would someone do if they wanted to get involved with Palladium?
Yeah, it's similar to what Katie was saying. It's what we're looking for first are folks who are interested in what Historic Columbia does and what we offer. So I would encourage them to go to historiccolumbia.org, take a look at what Historic Columbia is doing, see if there's something in there that excites you, and become a member. That'll get you on all of our mailing lists, and we will reach out to you about how you can get involved with some of the Palladium specific things that we're doing. We have some virtual events planned for the spring, behind the scenes tours, and the in-person events that we're going to have during the year. So I would encourage you to get to know Historic Columbia first, and then consider adding on a Palladium addition to your membership.
Great, thank you. Chase, how would I get involved with CORE if I wanted to get involved with CORE?
Absolutely. So very simply put, of course, you can always start off by going to learn more about us on our website, ourcore.org. But we do have events as well, virtual and in person, that are not just members only, that we do invite non-members to join our events. We have events specifically for people who are interested in joining CORE called Activates. So you're more welcome to join us at one of those. Those are typically free events that we just invite you to come, typically give you a little bit of food, and it's just an opportunity to kind of get to know other people in Columbia. And then, of course, we'd love for you to join. And once you join, we, of course, want you to continue to engage with us, join our email list, so on and so forth, and maybe get involved in one of our committees, which we call action teams, actually be a part of what CORE is doing in the community. We have some other programs as well that's a little less about CORE and more about connecting you to Columbia. And so, Ashley, you may want to jump in really quick and talk about Crash Course just from a high level standpoint, because I know you have to be a member of CORE to be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Crash Course Columbia is one of our talent retention initiatives that we launched last spring, right before the start of the pandemic. And we're hoping to re-engage and bring it back this year in this late spring, once things are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. But Crash Course Columbia is exactly what it sounds like. It's a day-and-a-half crash course all around different hotspots, local attractions, burgeoning development, and hidden gems in our city. And at each stop along the tour, you get to go behind the scenes or meet the owner or get an insider experience that you might not get if you typically were attending one of those spots. For example, at the zoo, we get to see where the giraffes sleep and feed them and some of that really cool stuff. So it is a program that right now HR and your company can sign you up for it. And if you're interested, we'd love to talk to you about getting your company involved. We really want to see, and we did have at our first tour, but companies using this as an HR tool and talent retention tool. So signing up as like it's priced at about the same as a one-day professional development conference. And, it is professional development. It's all about getting to know your city and getting connected to your community. So that's a really exciting program that we will relaunch in addition to a plethora of other in-person and virtual programs that we have scheduled over the next 6 months.
Cool. And don't you guys have another program that you're launching for college graduates?
Yeah, I may toss back to Chase on that, but just a little sneak peek. It hasn't been official. I think it's officially going to be announced in a couple of months, but it will be called Capture Columbia, and it'll be an internship program for students, probably juniors and seniors, that are doing an internship at a company in the region. And CORE is going to work with Ingenuity SC. This was the brainchild of another organization called the Midlands Business Leadership Group. And so it's a collaborative effort, and CORE is kind of the young professional get to know Columbia type organization, is taking part in helping organize some of the events and activities that the students will participate in. Chase, what did I miss with that?
Yeah, it was a project of NBLG that CORE served on the task force for. So Ingenuity will help us launch it for this summer, and it will be a CORE program after that. Yeah, it's an intern program. We're saying that the companies who hire these students as interns over the summer will handle their lives in Columbia from 9 to 5, and then this program will help connect them to Columbia after hours 5 to 9. So we'll do a series of 6 or 7 events across the community for these interns. This year is our pilot year, but we're thinking we'll have 150 to 250 interns in the program this year as to start out. So it's gonna be really big. We're very excited about it. But Crash Course Columbia that Ashley talked about, and then Capture Columbia will be our 2 signature talent retention initiatives for CORE.
Awesome. Those are exciting things coming online. Kay, can you tell us about how someone would get involved with United Way Young Leaders?
Sure. So I'm going to try to find the silver lining of COVID right now. And I will say that if you are interested, now's kind of the time, because since everything is virtual, that means everything is free. So you really don't have an excuse not to join. Again, we do some professional development opportunities that have all been virtual. We luckily have the fortunate, we are just fortunate enough to be able to send volunteers out still. So that's the one thing that we are relying on in-person events for. We have reoccurring shifts with places like Senior Resources to help with their Meals on Wheels, or Transitions to help serve dinner, or sometimes breakfast shifts, either at the Inclement Weather Center or at Transitions. So I just say kind of just dive in. Again, kind of to what Patrick was saying earlier, just make sure the organization is something you're passionate about. So specifically, with YLS, a lot of what the work we're doing aligns with that of United Way. So if you are passionate about United Way, you love the work we're doing, or any of our partner agencies, you're more than likely going to like the things that we have to offer. So I definitely, sorry, my dog's making an appearance, the joys of working from home. So really just my thing is just do your research. And if you feel like that organization is a good fit, then, you can reach out to me. I also would suggest following us on Facebook or social media also. That is a huge way to plug in, and where we share all of our events, and not even just YLS, but other groups that we have at the organization. So that's what I would recommend.
Thank you, Kay. So the last 2 groups are a little unique in how you would get involved with them. So I'll let them tell you more about it. We'll start off with Kara with Talented 10th, and she can tell us about how you would become a member or get involved.
Thanks, Kay. So to get involved, similar to what the other Kay said, follow us on social media. You can learn more about all of our virtual events that we're hosting. Because of COVID, it is what it is, but usually we would have a spring series of monthly networking events, and unfortunately we are getting creative with how we're doing that. However, this upcoming February for Black History Month, which we usually host our annual conference, we're still going to have a convening conference, but it's going to be obviously a little different, and we'll be just talking about issues that address young professionals. So directly to get involved, follow us in social media. And membership, we actually will put out posts or we'll open our applications and let you know when we're actually accepting applications for new members. But to get involved, follow us on social media or reach out to a board member. And you can visit our website to learn more about that.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Hillary, tell us about Leadership Columbia.
Yes, so Leadership Columbia is similar to Talented 10th. We do have an application process. So we follow a calendar year, a calendar school year. And so our applications for the 2021-2022 class year are open right now. And the application process consists of an online application and a virtual interview. And that's done by a panel of recent graduates. There are no limitations to who can apply to the program. We do not have like an age or business industry restriction. It's open to anybody who is interested in enhancing their leadership skills, getting more involved in Columbia. And we have all ages, all industries, and all government entities represented in our group. You can also, just like everyone else, find more information on our website and on social media. We are right now doing a social media push for recent graduates from our program who are sharing their testimonials. So that's just a great way to really learn more from hands-on people who have actually been through the program. So you can take my word for it. You can also go to our Facebook page and read about what some of our graduates are saying about the program. But applications are open right now through the end of March.
Awesome. And as a former alumni of Leadership Columbia, I'll add in that you get the opportunity. It's what is it, a 9-month program?
10 months,
and you,
yeah.
10 months, and you cover different industries, different kind of focus areas, and then you do a class project together that really kind of unites you with the people you've been paired with for the year. So it's a good program, and well, I would encourage anybody to join any of these. I just wanted to add that in so that people kind of understood the commitment with that. So next question, what are your organizations, and I think some of you have already touched on this in some of your intros, doing things to make your organization more inclusive and equitable? And we'll kick this off with Kay.
Okay. So right now, we kind of have been launching something, and we kind of started it a little bit more internally. And we have been we're calling it the YLS Roundtable, and kind of having conversations surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it was really interesting because our very first one was just with our steering committee, because we were kind of like, well, if we're going to have these conversations, we need to have them with our peers and the people that we're close with, and then we'll kind of take it out to the community. So that went really well. We had really great participation. And then we did another conversation with the United Way's Community Impact Team. And we did it was basically just called the Community Conversation. And we held it on Zoom, and we had the mayor, and we had Dr. Aditi Srivastava from over at South Carolina Children's Trust. And then a rep from United Way. And we just keep having these conversations. We're trying to have them quarterly. And we just, we're continually brainstorming, seeing how to move forward. So
great, thank you. And we'll jump over to Patrick and hear about what Palladium's doing.
Thanks, Kay. Well, one of the things we're trying to do is is to ensure that Historic Columbia has resources to do a lot of the work they are doing with virtual education and virtual programming. As I mentioned earlier, one of our main roles is to help fundraise for the organization. Historic Columbia has made a commitment to ensure that programming is available virtually. That's what our support this year is going for. But additionally, that our members know about a lot of the ways Historic Columbia is telling stories from folks in our community whose stories haven't been told. We mentioned earlier, City of Women, the 63 Project, the Majeska Monteith Simpkins House, upcoming work with the LGBTQ community, so that Historic Columbia has the resources to do that, but also that folks who are engaged with Historic Columbia know about them. We're trying to do a better job informing all of our members what Historic Columbia is doing. And then as a Palladium, we sponsor what are known as renovation rodeos 4 times a year, where we go to someone's house and see what they've done. Sometimes they've been at the studs, sometimes they're finished with renovations. We had our first renovation rodeo in the Waverly neighborhood last month, which was a fantastic success. We were able to provide the homeowner with a story of the story of their house when it was built, who were the original owners, and how it's been owned and who's had that property through time. We're going to continue doing more of those renovation rodeos in some of the African-American neighborhoods in Columbia. And also we have made a conscious effort that our board is more reflective of the community, and we're going to continue doing that going forward. And we certainly would like to get more board members who can more broadly represent what our community is.
Awesome, thank you. Shayla or Kara, you guys want to kind of talk about what you all have going on in this area?
Yes, so Kara can tag team this, but basically it's in everything that we do. I feel like we always talk about access to resources, access to people. One thing I will point out, I know that I'm going to pick on you, Kay, because you mentioned us being in a COVID world. And a lot of your events being free now, that's one of the things I think that might differentiate us from some of these other young professional groups. All of our programming is free. And we do that because we understand that not everybody has the resources or the economic power really to attend, a $60 wine tasting or whatever the case may be. While I love them, Lord knows I love to drink wine. We all do. But I think that we also we understand kind of the interesting, I don't want to say predicament, that's not the right word to use, but we understand the situation in which our community is facing. And so we always just really try to make sure, again, that everybody has access to every single thing that we are doing.
And just to add to what Shayla is saying, the Talented 10th is focused on the African American community and recognizing that traditionally African Americans are a part of a marginalized community. The majority of our events are not necessarily free, but low to no cost, so that we make sure that everyone that wants to attend will attend. So there is no excuse. And Kay, we're just picking on you because you laid the foundation. But we directly focus on African Americans, and that does not mean that our events are not open to the public, by primarily membership, and a lot of the opportunities that we provide are for the African Americans. Again, just knowing the Talented 10th is a coined term by W.E.B. Du Bois, and if you look up the term, you will know that it means that he desired for African Americans, as we thrive through in workplaces, personally and professionally, that we bring 10%, it would be 10% of us that would actually make it, and that we should, as we climb, that we lift. So for ours, it's a little deeper of a meaning than the other organization groups. It's just more than networking, but also an opportunity, as Shayla said earlier, to just expose our marginalized community to different resources, giving them access, and then service to our community. So not forgetting where we came from, and that we always haven't had the opportunity to be in these places to share. So we look forward to partnering, plug, with all these other organizations that do have the funding and do have the access and the exposure to organize and to work with us. And we were founded by Mayor Steve Benjamin when he came into office, because this was something that he saw was a need in the city of Columbia. There wasn't a space for young professionals that were African American to thrive, to get that leadership training outside of organizations that did not necessarily have African Americans in mind. So I know I went a little bit longer than I was supposed to, but it's an area that I'm passionate about. And I just want to be very intentional that while we have this platform, that we're having this dialogue to really share our thoughts and our feelings and initiatives in the direction that we're moving in.
And I want to add really quickly, so I appreciate Kara, letting everybody know that not all of our events are free, but they're very, very, very low cost, the ones that we do charge for. But I will say too, she brought up a really excellent point about making sure that we incorporate the community in every single thing that we do. So a lot of our programming that you'll see will tag team with another Black organization in our community, one that further highlights them and the work that they're doing, but also it's adding in that additional service piece to everything that we're doing. And then that way, again, for those events that we may charge for, if we do team with another local Black organization, it's really, asking for a donation to help further their cause.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Katie, how about the Contemporaries?
So similar to some of the things that Patrick mentioned, I would say, obviously, we want to try to bring more board members on that are more reflective of our community and the members of the Art Museum. As far as, events go, we certainly have things that are free to our members. And then, those are our annual meetings, or our annual meeting. And then we also try to provide our educational activities at a relatively low cost. So they're very approachable and anybody can join. It's just something to learn about that's going on at the museum, or something, it could be a lifestyle education type of thing. So kind of direct those toward, one year we did a comic book art class. So try to make those more affordable. And then we do have our annual ball. So that's a little bit more on the high end, but that is more of our fundraising platform. And so one thing that we're really looking at at this point is, as I mentioned, one of our big initiatives is to buy permanent pieces for the art museum. And we just wrapped up our Visions of India exhibit at the museum. And so at this point, we're looking to purchase a new piece of art, and we really want to focus on purchasing something from an artist who is, you know, a female with a diverse background. So that will be a permanent piece to the museum that we can highlight, that anybody can see, and that puts our name on it. So we're looking at artists who had pieces in Visions of India, as long as working with the curators at the museum to identify some other artists with diverse backgrounds that we can help highlight and support through, and, you know, have those to share with the community.
Awesome. Kara, is your hand up as a high five or as a question?
I wanted to add something. I noticed that Patrick and Katie both said something that maybe the Talented 10th may be able to assist them with. One of the focuses that we have is that we like to engage other organizations with leaders that may be a part of our organization for you all. So collectively, everyone on the call, if you are looking for more members of the African American community or, you know, culture to join your board or to serve in some type of leadership capacity or just become engaged, please feel free to reach out to us, because we do have a pool of applicants that are interested and ready to serve.
Well, Kara,
Cool.
I knew you're a member of the best class ever for a reason. So yeah, we're in the same Leadership Columbia class, which is yet again an example of how small a community this can be. That's a great suggestion, Kara. Love to take you up on it. Let's keep a dialogue going.
See, this is good stuff. Okay. Hillary, can you tell us what Leadership Columbia does to make things more inclusive and equitable?
Yes. So as far as equitable, we're currently doing an early bird special for our application fee. It runs through tomorrow, so little short notice, but we'll be doing several throughout the application process. We'll have several different promotions running. So if you have any concerns about paying that application fee, please reach out to me. We'll make sure we get you taken care of. We also are going to be offering several some limited needs-based scholarships this year. We're really focusing on those small businesses and hospitality and companies that have been hit hard by COVID. And so we're working with some local businesses to increase those scholarships this year and provide more scholarships than we have done in previous years. And another opportunity is to, once you go through that application process and for your tuition fees for the program, talk with your employer. This program really benefits you and your employer. You get exposure. We promote and give exposure to the company that you work for, but also you're learning leadership skills that you're going to take back to your work that's only going to benefit you and them. And so oftentimes employers will split those costs or pay those tuition costs if you ask. I'm more than happy to have those conversations or give you the information you might need for that. But it definitely doesn't hurt to ask, but then also apply for one of our scholarships that we'll be doing this year.
Awesome. Thank you. And Chase, tell us about CORE.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kate. So diversity, equity, inclusion have really become a focal point for CORE. We really want to become a leader. We really want to be a leader in this space, and we have been taking steps to do so. One of our action teams, one of our committees is a DEI action team that actually somebody mentioned Dr. Audrey Srivastava. She and Ashley Jenkins of the City of Columbia co-lead that task force for us, just making sure that everything we do keeps DEI at the forefront of our operations. As part of our recent rebranding, we really made DEI a big part of our rebranding and came out with a statement that basically just says that we recognize for CORE to be successful, we need to really look at ever growing the diversity of our membership and just intentionally be inclusive in terms of our operations. So we're really excited about this. CORE, really, as we have worked hard toward this, we have the most diverse board that we've ever had as an organization. And for us, diversity means a wide range of things, not just ethnicity and race or sexual orientation, but for us also professional industry, what industry you work in, your geographic location. We've had a hard time getting out of the segment that we're just for Columbia proper, that we don't reach out to Lexington County or to the Northeast. So diversity means a lot for us in a wide range of ways. And so some of the work we're doing, the DEI team in CORE is doing, we are hiring a consultant to do DEI training for our board of directors. That will be coming up in the spring. We are, as part of our plans for 2021, we are working on some educational programming for our membership around DEI. So we're, again, all those things make DEI focus for us. But then in terms of recruiting members, a lot of our events are free, and we are trying to be more intentional about how we market our events and promote those across a wide slate of avenues and areas, just to make sure that our message is reaching not just our group of friends, right? We're trying to reach all segments of the population, now not even being a young professional organization, being diverse in age too. So really trying to get our message out more intentionally to all different segments of the population, and having a very low barrier to entry. We feel like CORE has always been one of the groups that's easier economically to join. And so our membership is very reasonable, but we also put out a lot of discounts there to make it even more affordable. We're discussing plans for scholarship memberships, the scholarship membership fees for our members, and of course, a lot of our events are free, so no cost in joining those. So we do not want there be a financial barrier for anyone to join CORE, and then we really don't want any stigma in terms of who our membership is or is not to prevent folks from joining as well.
Awesome. And kind of like Hillary said, just a reminder on some of these programs, there's ways that your employees will, or your employers might sponsor you. And I think everybody kind of covered, if you have questions about it and you're interested in getting plugged in, to really reach out to them. And there's ways to make things happen if you're interested. So this is kind of my favorite part of this whole thing, because this is how I know a lot of your organizations, and it's your events and things that you have going on. And several of you covered some of this in the previous part, but I want to talk about what your events were pre-COVID, right? Like, so, and you've touched on that some, and then kind of what you're doing now. And as we're doing this, I'm going to share a slide on your immediate upcoming events, so that everybody who's joined the call can see that. Again, I shared some of them in the beginning, but if you weren't on then, you might have missed it. So I'll do a screen share as you're talking, and we'll just kind of go in this order. We'll go Contemporary, Talented 10th, Palladium, CORE, United Way, and Leadership Columbia. But I'll remember those, but I'll give you a heads up on how we'll do this. All right, so Katie, did I say Contemporary first? Yeah.
Yes, you did. So as far as our normal year goes for events, we typically do a fall kickoff membership event. So anyone can attend. We have historically done it around some sort of Oktoberfest theme. Generally, our events are out on the plaza. And then our spring event has been, we've kind of changed it up a little bit over the years, but, an oyster roast, we've done a NCAA, March Madness type of thing. So just a good way for people to come out and join. And then our big event is typically our annual ball, which is late January, early February. So hopefully we can get back to some of that in our 2021-2022 year. And people can come out, but specifically for the next kind of 6 months, we've got what we're calling Wine, Cheese, and MC Escher. We've got a new exhibit opening up at the museum on February 5th, MC Escher. And so we are going to do a wine and art pairing. So it'll be about an hour Zoom call. You can get it $60 for members, 75 non-members, 3 bottles of wine. And some cheeses. We're going to do a 5-minute kind of talk about each piece of art, and then we'll have the gourmet shop talk about the wine and cheese pairings that go along with those virtually. So if y'all are looking for a good way to end dry January, or have a good Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day evening, that will be on Thursday, February 11th. And then we are working to get an in-person spring event on the calendar out on the plaza, because I think, again, people are ready to get out and do some stuff. And so hopefully the weather will be nice and we can have an event out there, hopefully late April, early May, that we are working to get on the calendar ASAP.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Kayla?
So,
Kara? Yeah.
All right. So February, as you all have heard Shayla and I speak of briefly, is the month that we have our Black History Month conference that we call the convening. We usually bring national speakers and leaders from across the country in to speak, but this year we're doing something a little different and realize that we have great talent right in our backyard here in Columbia. So we'll be hosting a list or a series of conversations every Thursday starting in February at 6:10 p.m. And there'll be a flyer that we can send out to all the participants here, as well as we'll be posting on our social media platform. We are also, and that would be free. And we are also, fingers crossed, that we are hopeful that we'll be able to do some in-person events starting in May. We usually host a series of networking events that we call 10th Hour, where we highlight different minority-owned businesses throughout Richland County, the city of Columbia. And annually in August, we celebrate Black Philanthropy Month, which is the month of August, and then Black Giving Day, which is August 26th, and has so many significant reasons within the African-American community, such as the day that President Obama, first African-American president, agreed to run for president, the day that Martin Luther King gave the I Have a Dream speech, and a whole lot of other things. And then in December, usually December 1st, we do a Paint the Town Red, where we raise funds for HIV and AIDS in the community. But first thing, we will be doing the convening, which will be a virtual series of conversations, and we look forward to anyone participating. And to answer the question that was in the chat about getting connected with us, hopefully we will be able to send you this screen share that Kay has up for young professional groups that you can reach out to us soon.
Yes, I will send out to all the attendees the contact information for everyone and how to follow on all your social medias.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Patrick?
Yeah, thanks, Kay. For Palladium, we are, like everyone else, we are doing virtual events, and we're going to continue doing virtual events. We are trying to find ways to do safe in-person events, and want to talk to you about a few that are coming up next week. So if you're a Palladium member, you're also a member of Historic Columbia, and that means you get free admission to many of the events Historic Columbia as an organization puts on. Next week, there's a virtual research roundtable about the Modjeska and Monty Simpkins House being put on by one of Historic Columbia's main researchers. If you're a Palladium member, it's free to attend. On February 12th, at the Hampton Preston House, Historic Columbia is going to show a movie in the garden, kind of an anti-Valentine's Day event, the movie Scream. You and a few friends can rent or can get a pod on the grounds. It'll be socially distanced. There'll be food trucks. There'll be a bar. If you're a Palladium member, you can get a pod at a discounted price. And then February 16th, there's a virtual renovation rodeo showcasing a home renovation project in Elmwood Park. Renovation rodeos are always free to Palladium members. You can attend if you're a member of the public. It just costs some money. We are looking to do a walking tour in the spring, where if we can do it safely, it'd probably be in Cottontown, showcasing some of the new business development that is going on there and some of the home renovation work. We will have our silent auction in October. And anyone who's interested, I'd encourage you to check out our social media throughout the year to be reminded of both upcoming Palladium specific events, but Historic Columbia events that are happening both virtually and, as we can, safely in person.
Thank you. Okay, Chase, you want to tell us what CORE has coming up and what you used to do before COVID?
Actually, jump in on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So typically, CORE has a plethora of events. We've kind of talked about a few, but from a membership perspective, there's Activate, which is free. Anyone can come if you just want to figure out what CORE is all about, come to that. Connections, CORE Connections, which is our members only event, very similar mixer type situation. We have Table for Six, which is a very intimate dinner where you get to sit down with a power player in our region and really get to know them at a small table of 6 people. So there's usually a theme around the Table for Sixes. I know we had one with all of the mayors of our region. We've had ones with nonprofit leaders. So that there's always a nice theme there. And then we talked about Crash Course Columbia and Capture Columbia. So that leaves Time for Art, which will be getting a new name and a little bit of a mix up this year. But it's where it's talking about, inclusivity. We recognize that a lot of people cannot, don't have the money to bid on items or art with money, but a lot of especially young professionals have time to give to the community. So you bid with your volunteer hours rather than monetary bidding. And we're very excited about that event. So you have a few of our next upcoming dates listed here on the screen. Next week is the launch of our reading group, and that is going to be members only. This is something that we're just going to try out to be, virtual and safe. And you can vote on which book we're going to select, and that'll be announced next week. And we're going to pair everyone with like smaller groups so that they can kind of start to form relationships with other members, or if they would like to meet in person, socially distanced and masked and everything, they can. In February, we have volunteer initiatives. Of course, I did not mention that, but we usually have volunteer initiatives once a quarter. So with all of this different programming in a pre-COVID world, we're looking at about one or more event per month. But, this past year has been a little bit different, but leading into these next 6 months, we're kind of back on track for that. So in February, our volunteer event is kind of centered around helping the homeless population. So we're partnering with Colatown Bike Collective to do a bikes and blankets drive. And then Table for Six, we do plan to have in March, and that will be in person, but we'll also have a virtual component. So if you would like to join a virtual table, you can. But when we did our Table for Six a couple of months ago, we did it outside and eating was optional, and it was distanced. And so everyone met at different locations. So it was a very small group of 5 or 6 people joining together and, unmasking to eat if they want to or not. So we're just trying to figure out how to bring some in-person events back, but like everyone else said, keep them safe. And so beyond that, just a couple of other dates. Go ahead and save the date for, we're looking at April 29th for Time for Art. And then we'll have another volunteer event in May, hopefully centered around Camp Cole. So all of our volunteer events kind of do different things to help the community. And then another Table for Six in June and a membership event as well. So lots of really good stuff coming up for CORE. So stay tuned to our social media channels to get all those details.
Awesome. Okay, Kay.
All right. So in a pre-COVID world, we did have a couple big events. So the first one would be our annual kickoff, which the past 2 years was a black tie optional event over at the State Museum. And then, similar to Contemporaries, we had an oyster roast, which happens about mid to end January. This year, so we did just find out United Way as a whole will not be hosting any in-person events until the earliest possible is July. And that's across the board, not just for the Young Leaders Society. So we're kind of pivoting to see, what we can do and what we can do that's new that nobody has done yet for virtual events. But right now in place, I don't even want to say in place of our oyster roast, but to still get people together around the same time. We are doing a wine down virtual wine tasting that's going to be with Gourmet Shop a week from today. So January 28th from 6 to 7. If anyone is interested, I can put the link in the chat, but the last day to register is today. So Gourmet Shop can make sure to get the wines for everybody. And then, like I mentioned earlier, volunteerism is really where the only way we're able to do anything in person. A lot of the shifts that we do cover have pretty much been cut in half to help with social distancing and making sure everyone feels safe and comfortable. But as I mentioned, we have reoccurring shifts with the Inclement Weather Center. And for those of you that don't know, that is just a shelter open from November till March 31st for nights that get below 40 degrees, or, you know, if we have like really bad rain and there could be potential flooding, then it opens also. But as long as it is open, we have recurring shifts serving Monday night dinner and Tuesday morning breakfast. The Tuesday morning shifts are very early, but it gets your day going by 5:30 in the morning. So, and then we have the dinner shifts with transitions that we do every second Sunday. And then again, our reoccurring Meals on Wheels shifts that we do every other month on the third Friday. And these are just some of the things that we do that are kind of scheduled out, but we probably all together have 2 to 3 volunteer events a month. So we always have something going on in that capacity. And then, as I mentioned earlier too, we do the professional development events. Specifically, we have a series called Learning with Leaders. The past 2 have been some really great panels, which we normally like to do those in person, again, with kind of like a happy hour and snacks. But for right now, they're virtual. So hopefully in July and the end of summer, we can start getting everyone back together.
Hillary?
Yes, so I'll try to keep this short. Leadership Columbia has definitely not been immune to COVID, just like all of our other groups. We have been affected and we've had to adapt the way that we typically do things. Leadership Columbia relies heavily on in-person connections and experiences. And so we've had to really adapt our programming and how we can still get that across in a safe way, while also providing hybrid options as well. So we greatly reduced our class size this year by almost half, so that we can still follow those social distancing guidelines, but we are in person as often as we possibly can safely. So we're looking at bigger venue spaces so we can spread out. We're enforcing, just all the different safety restrictions and protocols right now. We also are offering live streaming and hybrid versions for those that are not comfortable being in person or who might not be feeling well. And so I have learned more about live streaming than I ever cared to know about. It is not, it's not easy. So we have been learning on the fly. My board has been great assisting with that as we go. But I feel like we have really hit a groove of providing that same experience in our new COVID world. Who knows how long this is going to last. So our Alumni Association has taken a little different approach. So because we are a group open more to the public, we have done primarily virtual events. We do have a virtual event coming up February 9th in conjunction with Black History Month with Dr. Bobby Donaldson. If you have or have not done the 63 tour, it is very eye-opening. And so he's going to be doing a virtual tour talking about how Columbia fits into the civil rights movement. And so that will be on February 9th. It is open to the public. Feel free to check out our Facebook page or website for more information, but we'd love to have you all participate in that.
Awesome. And I'm gonna flip through here just so everyone on the call can see the contact information for all your website and Facebook and Instagram for each of the groups. We're coming up on the hour. I wanted to open up the chat box to see if anybody wanted to drop in a question. I am having trouble seeing chat with the share screen, so bear with me. If you guys see the questions in there, I don't want to stop sharing while people are taking their notes on this. And I can also send out after the meeting to all the attendees your contact information as well. Okay, now I can see our chats. Okay, so I think we've gotten everyone's questions answered. We have 1 more minute. I talked to the group about lots of different questions because I had lots of them, but I want to really quickly have you got one of you, whoever wants to take the lead on it, tell us how you think getting involved has benefited your career. Oh, and I think we have a question in the chat box too. Okay, and there's Ryan. He's asked, what attracted you to get involved with the group you're in? We'll go with this question then.
Okay, I'll go first, just because I know we have not a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
But so let's see. I'll answer your question. I will say, and I think we've kind of touched on it here, like in this call, just from all the various like young professional leaders who are present here today, but Columbia is not as big as we all think it is. And so it was really funny, like we were going around the room, like, or I guess virtually going around introducing ourselves. You know, there's a lot of touch points that I think each of us has with a lot of the different young professional organizations. Like I just joined the board for the Contemporaries. I sit on the board for Leadership Columbia. I'm very well versed with what CORE has to offer. You know, Kay and I have bumped into each other at YLS events. So I feel like it would benefit you to really get involved with the various young professional groups that are present, because I promise you, if it's fear that's kind of stopping you from getting involved, I would say don't let that stop you, because the moment that you walk into any situation thinking that you're going to be by yourself or that you're not going to know anyone, I promise you, you go to that room and you will know like 10 or 12 different people.
Perfect. Anybody else want to add 1 minute parting thought on it?
I'll add on just a little bit. I'll be quick, but just to piggyback off of what Shayla said, I was just thinking back on when I first started getting involved, and the thing that I love about Columbia and our community and all of these organizations is that if you want to do something, you want to see something done, you want to see an event done, or you want to get involved, like people are so supportive, the community is so supportive, and any one of these organizations can help you get there and bring your vision to life. I mean, Crash Course Columbia is a perfect example of something that was just a conversation that I had with a friend and colleague about a year ago, or, you know, a year and a half ago at this point. But, and then we were able to make it happen. And that has just been such an incredible experience, and not something that I would have even thought was possible, you know, 4 or 5 years ago when I was first starting to get involved. So if you want to get involved, if you're passionate about something, like any number of the people in this room or organizations can help you. And everyone is just, this community has, I think, more positivity around it than maybe others, but maybe I'm biased.
Awesome. Well, and I'll add to, you know, Columbia Economic Development is one of our main focuses now, and a lot of economic development agencies are on attracting and retaining talent, and getting plugged in and getting to know different people is what really makes a community, but also makes you want to stay in your community. So I think that's if we want to impress upon anybody that's on the fence, that hasn't gotten involved, or that is maybe leaning out on Columbia, try to lean in as hard as you can. And right now times are tough to be able to really get out there and meet people, but you've seen today that there's a lot going on. And I want to thank all of you guys for taking your lunch hour and a couple of previous lunch hours to rehearse with me. And sorry about some of the order of our questions, but I think we did great today. And I hope that everyone that joined was able to take something. And if you have any questions for us, you can I'll leave the chat open for a couple minutes as we're closing out, put them in, and then I'll make sure I get you guys the information on the upcoming events and how to get plugged in. Thank you.